It is such a beautiful day. I'm outside this time with my interview series. And as you can see, I'm sitting today with the fabulous Judge Mablean.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's a wonderful experience. I have wanted to do something with Jewel Diamond Taylor. Well, we have talked about it for the last 20 years.
Wow.
And Jewel, I don't know if you remember, but it was at one of your events that I said that I wanted to write a book.
I remember.
And you said, why aren't you writing it? Do it.
And you
I've
did
finally
it.
done it.
I have it on video when you said that.
Mm-hmm.
I have it on video. So,
yeah.
let the record show.
Let the record show.
Remember.
Yeah.
And guess what? She did it. And that's what we're so excited about, that she's going to be featuring her book. Let everybody know the title of your book, Judge.
The book is Look Deep Before You Leap, Heed the Red Flag Warnings to Avoid Unhealthy Relationships. You know, that was my tagline on Divorce Court, Look Deep Before You Leap.
Yeah. We're going to get into that because when we go to Indianapolis in October and Maryland in November, we're going to be teaching from our books. Mine is Follow Your Heart, but Take Your Brain With You.
Oh, very similar.
So we are seasoned women, and we know about some of the common myth takes. There are myths out there, and we know about some of the common red flags that we as women just totally ignore and become blind.
Yes.
And just fall into some bad situations.
Right.
But as my series is called The Interviews, I want to kind of get everybody to kind of get to know who you are.
All right.
You
That's
know,
a
I
good
know
thing.
that you are number 9 of 10 children.
Number 9 of 10. Right.
And where were you born?
Hazelhurst, Mississippi.
Okay, I got family from Mississippi, Jackson.
Yeah.
And then my father was born in Vicksburg.
Oh, my father was born in Brookhaven. My father was born in Brookhaven, raised in Vicksburg.
Isn't
My mother was born in Crystal Springs. They met in Hazelhurst at a church.
At a church.
And that's where they raised all of the children except me and my little sister. Most of us, our raising was in California because I came here as a little girl.
Our grandfather was an entrepreneur like myself.
Oh, really?
He built a church. He built their home.
Wow.
He had a filling station.
What?
Yeah, they didn't call
Not
it
a
gas
gas
station.
station,
No,
a
they
filling-
a filling
a
station.
filling station.
And so I would spend my summers there, and I'd walk down the dirt road taking his lunch in a brown bag to the filling station, and my reward was to open up that Coke machine and get out an
you a
orange
Coke.
crush.
An orange crush, yes.
Yeah.
The orange crush and the strawberry
Yeah,
crush.
the strawberry. Yeah, that was my reward. So
Now, it's
yeah.
interesting that your father was an entrepreneur. My father was not, but he had an entrepreneur spirit.
Yeah.
And he put that entrepreneur spirit in us.
Yeah.
And he always said, you don't have to work for a paycheck. You don't have to work for somebody else. You can work for yourself, figure out what you want to do. And as a result, it was 10 born. My mother gave birth to 10, but 9 lived. And of those 9, 7 became entrepreneurs and worked for themselves.
Come on. Wow. Now, I was referring to my grandfather, but then my father had a jewelry store.
Oh,
So that's
wow.
how I got my name. So yeah.
Oh.
So then I'm the next generation to be an entrepreneur and loving what
Now, you
I
got
do.
3 generations of
Yes.
black entrepreneurship,
Yes.
which is rare these days.
Exactly.
If it goes past 2, statistics show that we'll get to 2, but rarely do we get to 3.
Wow. I just know he's looking down from heaven, seeing my sisters and I. We're loving life.
Yes.
And constantly reinventing ourselves. So me doing these video interviews is just another way for me to reach people, to tell stories, to share testimonies. You are a living shiro. You're a living legend. You've
That's what they
accomplished.
tell me.
Yeah, you've accomplished a lot of things.
Right.
But I want everybody to kind of get to know a little bit about you. Tell me one of the first books you read, or a book that really influenced you in life.
You know, when you asked me that question, I gave it thought, and I said, I started reading as a little girl. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, the first book I ever read was the Bible.
Okay.
That was the first reading that was done to me, and that was the first thing that I read because my mother put that in front of us as small children going to Sunday school. So you learn to read the Bible at age 1. You got a Bible in your hand.
It was your foundation.
Right, and then you started to read aloud in Sunday school, and so I know that was really the first book I ever read.
Do you have a favorite scripture or a favorite
yes.
Bible character?
I have a favorite scripture that guides my life, and it's I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, being a number 9 of 10 from the South, poor parents. My mother always said, and they told us at church, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I tell you, if I have not put any other scripture to practice, I put that one to practice. And then I live by Ephesians 3:20.
Oh, come on.
Now unto him who's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think. So that's where I get my strength to ask, to think it, and then it gets done.
It's one of my favorites too.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Also, tell me, do you have a favorite word? As a lawyer and a judge, you have to master a lot of things. Your vocabulary, the legal system, and as an author, and I'm an author, I love words. My favorite word is grace. Do you have a favorite word?
Now, that's a difficult one that I haven't thought about it, but I think it probably would be foolishness.
That's okay.
It probably would be foolishness.
Foolishness?
Yes, because I tend to look at things and watch people and see, and myself, and when I'm doing something I think is foolish, and when I see mistakes or think people have made, it's like foolishness, just foolishness. Yeah,
I love that. I love that. Well, we are living in a time where we hear this word all the time. I'm always invited to go to conferences. I write books and retreats and coaching, and we hear this word empowerment. Now, when I started 35 years ago, there was no word empowerment. What does empowerment mean for you, and on a personal level, or who is someone that demonstrates empowerment?
Well, when I think of empowerment, it's just having the ability and to do what it is that you want to do in life, or to walk in your purpose, and being able to do that despite obstacles, naysayers, bad things that happen, and just having the guts, the strength, the courage. That's what being empowered is.
That.
And I'm empowered by, and I have been empowered by, those women in my life who started with my mother, and the women in the church, and who always give you that encouragement and that word that says, oh baby, you can do this, or I'm just so proud of you.
Yes.
Or when I read, and when I read historical books, when I read about the characters in history that were strong enough to forego obstacles, to go through whatever. When I look at the life of Harriet Tubman and how bold and how brave she was, and I look at the little problems that I go through, and I was like, girl, that's nothing.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. And there's people like that. And as a lawyer, I read the historical accounts of the first black lawyers like Thurgood Marshall, who had the guts, who had the audacity to challenge the system when, first of all, they were saying it took him a while to get into the system because they didn't always admit us into law. And when I look at people like that, and Yvonne Brathwaite Burke, who was the first black woman here in California, one of the first to be admitted to the practice of law at a time when that was unheard of and it was not happening. And even though she was admitted to the practice of law, she couldn't join the Los Angeles County Bar Association, which is so interesting. But she kept going. She kept going. When I look at women like Maxine Waters, who didn't have a college degree, but was just upset with the system. I met this woman when she was a parent, upset with the system of child care and after-school programs, as she was fighting LA Unified School District for the sake of her children. And then she decided, I'm going to be a councilwoman, I'm going to be an assembly, and I'm going to do something about it. That's empowerment in the face of obstacles, problems. It's not easy. You don't allow that to stop you.
That's awesome.